D23 Expo happened this weekend, and we've got all of the highlights from Disney, Walt Disney Animation Studios, Marvel Animation, Pixar, 20th Century Studios. There's so much to dig into, so much movie and TV news. There's prequels, sequels, requels, remakes, spin-offs, original stuff, kind of. We're going to get into all of it, and we're going to get into all of it right now. Let's do it.
This is Popcorn for Breakfast, presented by St. Louis Area Smoothie Kings. Now, here are your hosts, Cam and Kirk.
Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Popcorn for Breakfast. With me, as always, Kirk.
Hello, hello.
Welcome in, Kirk. And I am Cam, and we are here today to talk about the D23 Expo yet again. I remember when this expo first kind of started out, it was kind of like during the COVID era. They were doing live streams to kind of hype up all the films that were coming because people were real sad. And the expo may have existed before that, but that was when real big movie news started to come out of it. And it was really exciting. I remember the first one, there was all this Pixar news, all this Marvel news, all of these huge projects. I remember like Lightyear getting announced and stuff. And now looking back in retrospect, some of that stuff I hated. So we'll have to do the same exercise when we're done with this. But it's gotten big. In some ways, it's not as big as I want it to be in terms of the storylines.
Yeah.
And I feel like Parks kind of stole the show this year, which is not something that we're going to cover. We're going to cover movies and TV, but there's still a ton to get into. There's tons of projects. We've been taking tons of notes. I feel like this weekend I had a pretty like social, eventful weekend. So I feel like a news anchor that's just been handed like a list of like breaking news and has to just go on the fly, but we're going to do it.
Yep. We have our teleprompter here. We don't know what it says. We've fed all the information to it.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think I was looking through the list of projects, and we'll have to keep a tally, but I posted on social media of the like 20 plus something, there's like 25 plus things that were discussed during the, what did they call it? The Walt Disney Entertainment Panel or something like that. Only 3 of them were completely original projects.
Which that hurts. That hurts a lot.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Everything else is a sequel, a remake, a prequel, a spin-off, or otherwise connected to something that already exists. Which, I mean, you would say like, well, everything that's Marvel and Star Wars, obviously. But there was a period of time where Walt Disney Animation Studios was not that long ago coming out with new stuff, like things like Frozen, things like
Onward.
Tangled, things like, yeah, I mean, well, that's Pixar, but yeah, like Encanto, I mean, Moana, and same with Pixar, right? We were getting Onward, we were getting Luca, we were getting Turning Red, for better or worse, right?
Right.
And now we've got 3 projects that are original only, and it's all from Pixar. It's we'll talk about them in a little bit, but that's crazy to think about, just to kind of set the stage that like this new era from Disney as a company, Bob Iger back at the helm, he is leading them down a path of sequels, remakes, existing IP, and leading them down that path rather aggressively. So, I mean, early thoughts on that, Kirk?
Yeah, there must be money behind it, because why else not? When you walk down a movie theater hall and you see all the upcoming movies from any studio, it's mostly rehashed sequels, legacy sequels, requels, prequels, the whole shebang. So why not hop on that train right now? And how long will this last? And well, I guess as long as these ideas keep getting money, when they spin out and people really stop putting their money to it and just wait for them to stream. That's, I guess, when it will happen.
Yeah, I think that's what we're kind of waiting for, is to see like how much of this will the consumer tolerate to the point where they continue to feel compelled to go to the box office and continue to feel compelled to watch things in the theater versus just waiting for them to stream. And some of the sequels they've had in recent years have not been as good. They're almost never as good as the original by most measures. And so it's like, if you know that with each subsequent sequel you're sort of diluting the franchise, then isn't there a limit to that? Like, isn't there a floor at which point people will be like, you know what, I don't like whatever anymore, Toy Story anymore. I don't like it because, 3 out of the 5 films are bad or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, there could be a lower bound to that. So I think I wanted to set the stage with that, just so that we're aware of like a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. our sequels, prequels, remakes, etc., and just kind of having that commentary to kind of underpin all of this because it's relevant.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get into it, Kirk. We've got a zillion things to get into.
Can I talk about what the D23 is really quick?
Oh yeah.
Okay, because like I knew that it was a big showcase, but I didn't know like the history behind it. So what it says online, what Disney has put out is that the name D23, it pays homage to the exciting journey that began in 1923 when Walt Disney first opened his first studio in Hollywood. So the D23 is the official club for fans in Disney's 100-year-plus history.
Yeah, I'm a D23 member.
That's fantastic.
I'm not like a paid member. I'm like a free member, but there are tiers to this. And
yeah.
if you're a member, I think you can buy tickets to this thing and go. I mean, maybe I would do that. I'd rather go, when you and I are massively successful and we're going as press. But
right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really grown. The D23.
It's incredible. I mean, they have the biggest hall that's available for this big event, for all the different events that are happening for Disney. And so many things to chat about.
So many.
How are we going to get through it?
We're going to start with Avatar.
Okay.
Just because I want to. And because I feel like starting with some of the the projects that are like untied to the larger Disney studios of like Marvel, Lucasfilm, whatever. Let's just start with Avatar, which is like, I'm just going to call it James Cameron Studios.
Okay.
I don't know if it's like under 20th Century Studios still, or if it's, I have no idea. But one of the first things they talked about in this panel was the third Avatar movie of like, how many are there going to be? I think 5 confirmed.
I think 100.
Yeah.
I think
we'll be watching Avatar until the day we die. Basically, the only info we got here is we got a title treatment because you always get a title treatment. Nice little graphic design. The graphic designers this past few months at Disney were going. They were like, we need title treatments for all this stuff. But the title of the movie is Avatar, Fire and Ash. So we've got Avatar, then Avatar, The Way of Water, and now Avatar, Fire and Ash. Your reaction?
My immediate reaction. This is a deep cut.
I'm ready.
Makes me think of Shirani and Rihanna.
Yeah.
It's like fire and ash.
Yes. Good.
Taking over the whole world.
See, this is good. It's going to be like, do you remember that scene in Deadpool 2 where it's like, everybody give your best one-liner, go? That's what this episode's going to be because there's too many things to talk about. We're just going to have to throw out quick hitters. My first thought with this was, it's so clear that James Cameron has so little interest in actually telling a story here. Like he's basically decided, I want to make Avatar movies for forever because they're probably tons of fun to make. He gets to like develop and pioneer all this visual effects stuff. He
makes billions of dollars.
It makes tons of money, right? He gets a huge cut of that. He has carte blanche, like can do whatever he wants. So I think this is like dream project for him. And so he's just like, crap, they're going to want a story. He's like, I'm just going to like, what's something that I can just like buzz through? He's like, well, the last one was water. Let's just do all the elements. We'll just do like, we got Avatar, and then it's like Avatar, let's do a water one. And then it's like Avatar, let's do a fire one.
Earth, air, it's gonna
fire. He literally watched Avatar The Last Airbender and was like, yes. Like, not only am I going to call my thing Avatar, but I'm also just going to steal all of it. The earth, the fire. So then we should expect an air one. Was that the first one then? Because of the Banshees and stuff?
Well, there will be a crossover into Captain Planet, so we'll have Heart and Wind also enter.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Captain Planet. And then there'll be some sort of like Earth, right? So then the next one will be like, I mean, you could argue that the first one was Earth or air, I guess.
Correct.
But the first one doesn't count. So we're going to have Avatar, and this is why there's 5 movies, because there's 4 elements. So
Captain Planet is coming.
We've got it figured out. It's going to go this, water, fire, and then either earth or air, and then whatever one is left, that's what's going to be left.
Heart is one of them. I think Heart would be great to be the final.
No, I'm not talking about Captain Planet.
I'm talking about Captain Planet.
You always want to talk about Captain Planet, Kirk.
I do.
But seriously, I think we need to seriously investigate, did he just watch Avatar The Last Airbender and steal everything? And then sprinkle in a little Captain Planet. It'll be Avatar 6 that's unannounced, right? It'll be Avatar Heart of Pandora. I'm calling that 20. What would that be?
2034.
20. You might be close. If this is 3, 2031.
Okay.
Avatar, Heart of Pandora. Call it now. Okay, moving on.
Check the tapes.
Do we need to talk about all this other, like, first of all, Dwayne Johnson is back.
Boo.
Yeah, he's back, and they've signed this big deal with his production company, $7 Productions, that was reported a while ago, and we're all just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, what horrors will they unleash upon us as a result of this deal? The first one was kind of revealed during the Moana portion, where it's like they're making a Monster Jam movie, which like is about the Monster Truck event series.
What does that even mean?
What does that mean? Is it a documentary?
Is there an existing Monster Jam IP? Like, what
no,
is
it's
that?
it's the Monster Truck, like the event series that like goes to, like, you could go see it downtown in your town. Like, they show up and they run over cars.
And so there's going to be a movie on this.
Yeah, starring Dwayne Johnson.
That's dumb.
It's a nightmare. It's a true nightmare scenario, especially if we have to see it and review it. That's going to be real bad.
Not seeing it. Nope.
Kirk's boycotting.
Absolutely not.
But also, like, why go in business with Dwayne Johnson? I feel like this guy, like, his PR streak right now is like, his aura, as the kids would say, is like negative 10,000. Like, he was peaking for a while there with Moana and with Jumanji. Even I was like, you know what? He's a bad actor, but he seems like a nice guy. Wrong. Then there was the Maui thing, like the actual, not Maui the guy,
in
like
Hawaii.
Maui in Hawaii, where he was like, help me and Oprah raise money. And it's like, you guys have all the money.
Just give them the money.
Give them the money. Don't need. And then there was the whole, what was it, like IndieWire or one of those that had the whistleblower that was like, The Rock is terrible. He shows up late. He makes people work late. People are like peeing in bottles on set. He's peeing in bottles on set. I don't know. He's like giant negative energy right now. I would be distancing myself and not making some garbage Monster Jam movie that sounds terrible.
It's going to be so bad. Like,
we've officially spent too much time on it. So just by even mentioning it, it was already too much time. Let's move on. Let's talk about the rest of this Walt Disney Studios stuff. I'm not going to talk about Percy Jackson season 2. I'm not into that, and I feel like the people who are into it know what they need to know. We're not going to get into that. Sorry, Percy Jackson fans. But these other live action movies, let's start small and then we'll get bigger.
Okay.
Tron Ares. This is the third Tron movie. They showed a trailer at D23. It has not been released. We know a couple of things. We know that it releases next year in October, as of right now. We know that Jared Leto is the villain, which is good because he's a villain in real life. He haunts my dreams, and he's a menace to society. So I think that's good casting, actually. Probably the only time you'll hear me say that Jared Leto is good casting. And we know that Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross are doing the score, which is fabulous.
Beautiful. I'm a big fan. I was a big fan of Tron Legacy.
Yeah, you're a Tron guy.
Big fan. Love
big
it.
Tron guy over here.
Yeah, that's me.
Who's
got 2 thumbs and loves Tron?
It's
this
Kirk.
guy.
That's fantastic.
I may have a Tron shirt on my ongoing birthday and Christmas.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that you already had one.
No, I need it. It says Flynn's Arcade, which is the famous arcade in which they build
I'll
Tron.
buy it for you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I'll get you that.
It looks super cool. I'm absolutely thrilled about this.
When Tron Ares comes out, we're just going to send you on your own press tour. It's going to be the Kirk. It's going to be the Kirk Tron press tour. We'll fly you down to Orlando. You can ride that roller coaster 1,000 times.
I've never ridden it. That's what I'm so mad about.
We'll put your Tron shirt on. It's going to be great.
I'm going.
Can't wait. All right. Now that brings us to all these live action remakes. And
your favorite part of the episode.
Oh man. Let's start with the least offensive out of all of these, which me saying that this is the least offensive out of all of them is telling in and of itself.
I'm curious how you're ranking this. Go ahead.
Mufasa.
That is true.
You think that's true?
Yeah.
Because it's still shockingly offensive.
Stay tuned for the next minute where we reveal the other 2.
It's shocking that poor Barry Jenkins, Academy Award caliber director, one of the great directors we have, has been relegated to corporate money grab prequel hell, basically. It's just not fair, and I don't know why it's happening. And there was a new trailer. I'll be honest with you, I didn't even watch it because I'm like, I saw a theatrical trailer for this movie a couple of times in recent trips to the movie theater, and it's an abomination. It is. It's an abomination. It looks so bad. It looks terrible. And why are we spitting on The Lion King, which is maybe their greatest animated masterpiece.
Can I tell you something? I love the idea of a Mufasa storyline. I really, really do.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't love it in the faux live action that it is, because it's not live action. They're not using real lions. It's all animated, the entire thing.
Yeah, and what are they going to do to my boy Mufasa?
Apparently, he's just a king that came from nothing.
I know, but he's so great.
He is mighty.
They're going to ruin it. They are. They're just going to ruin it. It already looks so bad.
They probably will. But the good news is that, you know, we had some rough sequels to the animated original, you know, 90s Lion King, of course. And this is just a whole another animal. So I still think it doesn't hurt the original The Lion King.
I think I'll agree with that, because the original Lion King is like S tier. You know, it's like the highest possible. Like I feel like that's when you look at everything Disney's ever made, like it's on the Mount Rushmore of all the things they've ever done. So when you reach that caliber, there is no tainting it. It has it's a permanent fixture in everybody's mind who's ever seen it, that they're like, it lives with them, you know? So you can't touch it. It's invincible. So it's good from that perspective, but I still think we just need to stop.
It's a nuisance. It's noise that people are going to say, "Oh, did you see Mufasa?" Like,
yeah,
no, I didn't, and I choose never to.
No, and it comes out this year. So mark your calendars, December 20th.
Cam's already super sad.
I don't even want to promote it. I'm just like, no. So let's talk about the other two.
Can you make it through the next two? We should have ended with Mufasa.
I seriously don't know that I can. And I like, this episode could get very long, very fast here. Next up, what's the second most offensive out of all of these? I'm going to go Stitch.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go Lilo and Stitch, because I know that I'm in the minority of people who are not a fan, and I'm not trying to alienate our audience. You can just, if you love Stitch, just be like, this guy's a bozo. That's fine. I hate it. I hate Stitch. I don't like the movie. I don't think the movie's good. I hate the character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hate the character hard.
Yeah.
And they basically were just like, hey, Lilo and Stitch comes out summer 2025. We have nothing to show you except for live action Stitch, which was basically designed to just get a rise out of me. So I don't even know that I have anything to say about it.
No, I mean, when I look at Stitch, any of the 6 movies that there are already, I just want to take a giant eraser to history and rid it from this earth.
Yeah.
When I see people in the parks that they've chosen to spend their money on Lilo and Stitch ears,
so much of it,
that makes me laugh, and it means I should not hang out with them. See,
now we're tiptoeing here into the alienation of the Stitch fans, but maybe that's just the line we have to draw.
I mean, alienation, get it?
It's true.
It's their fault they like it, Cam.
It is.
My kids love it, and I've disowned them.
That's good. Disavow completely. You're just like, nope, don't know you guys. See ya never. The thing is, when you show a live action Stitch, which first of all is an oxymoron, it cannot be. It doesn't exist. Stitch is an animated character, always will be, always is. So you're not showing you're not showing anyone anything they're not expecting. Oh, nope. So why even reveal it? It's like they showed it and it's like, yep, that's Stitch.
They should have built it like Yoda.
He should have been an animal.
Should have been a puppet.
He should be a puppet. They should have had Jim Henson, the Henson Company, do it. So nothing. They literally didn't do anything else. They were just like, here he is, Stitch, and the crowd goes wild.
I gotta get my wife on this on the next episode or something, because she can do an incredible. I know everyone can do like a good Stitch voice.
I can't,
but Aubrey can do like out of this world. She could have voiced the original,
and she did.
I would be a fan of this if she could become the voice and make us lots of money, and then I'll change my entire narrative on Stitch.
I would not. I would have to disavow. I would be forced to disavow.
This podcast is shutting down.
Let's move on to the most offensive of all the live actions, which is Snow White. And no, not for the reason that people are thinking. I'm not even gonna talk about the woke and the Rachel Zegler stuff. We've covered that before, and frankly, it doesn't matter. This thing looks dreadful. I mean, it looks so bad. So a couple things to clarify. First of all, I think just perusing the social chatter around this whenever the trailer dropped, which there is a teaser trailer now, as this movie is officially coming out next year after being delayed umpteen times. It's probably filmed in 2020 or something. I mean, it's like so long ago. But people who saw the trailer were like, oh, they switched the equity and inclusion version of the dwarves for CGI dwarves. That is hashtag fake news. I think it's because what circulated on the internet was a real image from the set of Snow White, where it was Rachel Zegler and a bunch of people dressed as dwarves, like the magical dwarves from
The
Snow
original
White.
movie. Mhm.
And they were all different sizes, and races, and religions, and whatever else. Who knows? And
It
people
was
were
like
like,
a coexist sticker.
yeah. And so people were like, "Oh, woke Snow White, this is dreadful." And so people thought that was like what they were doing, but it's not. Those people were stand-ins, because you can't just like sing whistle while you work and spin around if there's like no one there. That's a terrible environment. So that's what the plan was, seemingly always, to have these CGI versions
Uh-huh.
of the seven dwarves. And let me just say, they look awful.
Mhm.
So bad. Also, the animals that she's like, Snow White's big thing is that like she's so kind that the animals like love her, they help her clean the house, whatever.
Mhm.
The animals look so bad. And I know that this movie is not done, but shouldn't it be done?
It should be done.
Because it's been in post-production for like since I was 5 years old. I don't understand how this movie looks so bad.
Yeah, two things. So first of all, when they got the heat from using just like all these random real people as the dwarves,
Yeah, they're probably just like extras.
they should have just said, "Hey, they're stand-ins. We're going to CGI over their faces. Like it's not a big deal." They should have
Yeah.
said that. It would have immediately quieted. No, they let the fire burn
I
for
don't know
several
what happened
years,
there.
including Rachel Zegler's infamous awful interview on a random red carpet. I mean,
Which was bad. That was bad.
It was really bad.
Yeah.
It was really bad. And then number two is I've already forgot.
Number two is it looks like poop. It looks really bad.
I'm just still stuck on that picture that released and circulated of them like on a hillside and all these people just
Was it
running
her
behind
hair?
her.
Was that your second point? Her
Oh,
hair.
the hair is bad. The hair is really bad.
Gal Gadot, who, if you've listened to any of our podcasts, you'll know that neither of us have glowing opinions of her acting ability, is going to be awful. I mean, just bad. And I think here's the thing about the thing that I like about Snow White is that people are going to boycott this movie for all the like woke whatever. And I gotta say this carefully, am so thrilled that there's a boycott happening of this movie. Not for the reasons that people are boycotting, but because I think we should boycott all of the live actions. Like, I'm gonna go ahead. I gotta be careful about this too, because we're probably gonna have to review some of these.
What if you go out with like like the cardboard sign guy, just like stand in front of theaters, like end all live action Disney movies?
Like, here's what I'll say: I'm not paying to see another one of these.
Yeah,
I won't do it. I will not do it. I think they are despicable. And this is going to sound like hyperbolous and overdramatic. I mean it from the very bottom of my heart. I think these things are gross. I think they are the most textbook example of corporate greed and just tactless, like artlessness to take an animated masterpiece, some of their best IP, their best creative endeavors ever, and to create these disgusting, terrible looking, poorly acted, poorly lit, poorly shot. They look so bad. I mean, Little Mermaid looked so bad. To do this is just, I think it's gross. I think it's like, when people think of like, ew, corporate Disney, that to me, I get that feeling when I see these live actions, because they are so despicable.
Sometimes Cam and I have like bets on the show, and I think what I'll do is the next time that comes around, I'm going to make him have to purchase 6 back-to-back viewings of one of these live action shows.
Yeah, if I lose one, that would be, I don't know that I would make it through that.
You'll like, spend mentally an entire day there at the
I think they'd be like, oh, what happened to Cam? Like years later, be like, oh, he lost his mind. He had to watch Snow White, 6 times back to back, and he just couldn't handle it.
Yep.
His whole mental state just deteriorated.
He actually melted out of just pure.
My brain just liquefied, and it was just gone. Yeah, so that's me on live actions. I dreadful.
That's coming. They're mostly bad. They're really mostly are bad.
Yeah. So we've been talking a lot of negative about the Disney stuff. Let's maybe go to a land of some positives. Let's talk about Disney Animation Studios. There was nothing wildly offensive that they did.
No.
Zootopia 2, we got a release date, November 26, 2025. Really not a ton more, except for that they've cast Ke Huy Quan, which like, that's another like very corporate thing to just be like, people like Ke Huy Quan, because of course people like Ke Hui Kwan. He's such a pleasant person with a great demeanor, a great outlook on life. His interviews are so endearing. He's an Academy Award winner, et cetera, et cetera. But just because it's a corporate thing to do, like I'm fine with it.
Yep.
And
Big
I think
thumbs up.
Zootopia. Sorry, not to cut you off. I think Zootopia deserves a sequel.
Yeah, I've never seen it actually.
What? I think it. I don't know that it's like.
Do you have it on the wall behind us of movies?
Yeah, it'd be in Z. It would be that way. But it's
I'm taking
now
it.
you're gonna. You should take it. It's on Disney
I have
Plus.
Disney
You
Plus.
jabroni. What do you need? You don't need it. But I think, and well, you can still hear me without your headphones because that's how sound works. I think it's a good movie that I think is underappreciated, but I think it deserves a sequel. So I'm in favor of that. Then we've got Moana 2. That comes out this year. I'm not really going to talk about Moana 2. I don't feel like we broke a lot of new ground unless you have things you want to talk about.
The only thing that we got out of the new trailer and the release and everything was that she's a big sister.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
That's a big, yeah. So
That's weird.
And she's like basically chief now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll figure that out.
I think it'll fail, but let's move on.
Well, it will. I think it will fail for the reasons that we've discussed before, which is that it was going to be a TV series and then was crudely converted into a movie, which is never good. That's just never going to end well, I don't think. And just basically because they were like, our shareholders need money. See, like I thought I was going to be positive now, but no.
It's impossible.
And then Frozen 3, they gave us nothing. Title treatment. And Jennifer Lee, basically, who is the director the director of the first two movies, basically confirmed what Bob Iger has kind of been hinting at, which is that there will not only be just a Frozen 3, but also a Frozen 4
crazy
coming. So,
and this one apparently from the concept art, like stolen from the bootleg pictures and such from the hall. And the announcement says that there's like a city in the sky, like off in the distance, like it's like a golden palace that you can get to. So I'm wondering what kind of elements or powers or danger, conflict comes from that.
Lots of world building to happen, which I felt like there was a ton of world building in Frozen 2 for better or worse. And I'm not offended by this. This is, of course, what they're going to do. This is their cash cow. They can make money on this all the live long day.
Yeah.
Frozen 2 was not a bad movie.
No, it's
at
great.
all. I think the songs are great. I think it doesn't feel like a cash grab at all. I think it feels like a good movie with a thoughtful story, and I don't have any problems with it.
That's right. If you have a good story to continue the characters on, maintaining the integrity of what made them so likable and successful, and you grow them or don't grow them, like then great. But if
that's what you should do.
But
if you have more story to tell it.
Right. But if you completely change them just because you found a story that you wrote and you adopted into that IP, I'm looking at you, Toy Story 4.
Toy Story 4, yeah, that was catching strays. Toy Story 4 is catching strays here.
Then it doesn't work. So hopefully they'll continue to grow these characters, or again, keep them the same, but make sure that the integrity of each character stays the same and makes sense.
Well said. Well said. All right, let's move on to Pixar. Pixar, the big reveal, really the only big reveal by my standards, is that we got confirmed that Incredibles 3 is in the works. No release date, no nothing. I mean, they basically said that Brad Bird is developing it, which is not a huge surprise since Brad Bird directed the first two. Did he direct the second one? Or was he just EP? Anyway, Brad Bird is doing it, which is not a surprise. They only had a title treatment, no nothing, no plot details, no anything like that. How do you feel about Incredibles 3? This is, I think Incredibles 2 came out in 2019, so now we're 5 years removed, whereas the gap between the first two movies was like 16 years or something like that. So this is sort of like a how there's talk of them making a sequel to Top Gun Maverick. This is kind of like that. Like you've got the original and then like two fast follow sequels way later.
Yeah.
Is that weird you out at all?
No, because I think like Halloween did that too. Like the Halloween series did that as well. Where they opened up a whole new trilogy.
What a comparison. I mean, just right out of just pulled that one.
I just think about Jamie Lee Curtis a lot.
Yeah. Don't we all? Yeah.
I think that I don't know. I could think it'd be great. I always have good memories of Incredibles 2 because I went with my wife and the Jurassic World 2 had been out at the same time. It was in theaters at the same time. Fallen Kingdom. And we went up there, we're like, well, we're seeing a sequel no matter what. Which one are we going to see? We asked the box office people and they said, you absolutely need to skip Jurassic World. And they were right. I loved Incredibles 2. So with that kind of faith in the movie people, first of all, I also have faith in Brad Bird, which confirmed he did direct 1 and 2 for sure. So I'm going to go, it's going to be a big win.
I feel like I don't have big problems with Incredibles 2. I remember when I saw it, I liked it. I think it's pretty benign in general. Like, I don't think that it's a pretty safe sequel. They didn't try to break a lot of new ground, which could be a good thing or a bad thing. I did find it, you can hear the difference in the voices, which is a bummer. You know, you don't want that. It's kind of unavoidable in this scenario. It just makes me wish if they were going to do a sequel, they would have done it earlier on. And I feel like the story, I mean, The Incredibles is now my favorite. I've ranked it as my favorite Pixar movie now, so it's hard for me to even compare a sequel to it because I feel like the first one is so good. So I'm not mad about this. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think anybody's like clamoring for it, but we'll see. I hope that I hope it doesn't suck.
I just hope they age them up to assist with the voices.
Yes.
And maybe like a Rugrats all grown up scenario, you know, not that was good, but maybe it would work well for these characters.
Yeah, it could. That's an interesting idea. So we'll see. You talked about Toy Story 4. Let's talk about Toy Story 5. Release date confirmed to be June 19th, 2026, which I mean, that will almost certainly not be the final release date. Some interesting tidbits here. There was some like artist rendering, some concept art shared. There's a picture of like a child, presumably Bonnie, underneath the covers with an iPad. The whole theming of this movie is described to be toys versus technology, which I really like, actually. And Woody is in the picture of all the toys in Bonnie's room. Like, Woody is there, which feels like certainly some sort of big change, retcon even of Toy Story 4 in some ways. So they'll have to close that loop. And the other tidbit we got is that there's some sort of like army of malfunctioning Buzz Lightyears that they'll be fighting against, which is interesting. And the part that I'm actually excited about is that Andrew Stanton has been chosen as the director of the movie, which I think he's one of Pixar's, like, I think it's like Pete Docter and Andrew Stanton are like their top dogs. Like, I view Andrew Stanton as one of their most capable directors. He did Finding Nemo and he did Wall-E, both of which are beautiful movies. So excited from that perspective, but again, nobody needs a Toy Story 5. It does feel like they're getting back to their roots though, which could be good.
Yeah, I don't think they can retcon Toy Story 4.
Probably not.
Because they're probably going to want to use, if they can, I hope they can. I want them to bring Duke Kaboom back.
Heck yeah.
Because that would just be wonderful.
Yes.
But I think that somehow it would be really great that as the big RV is leaving, all of a sudden they slam on their brakes and Woody's like, I made a terrible mistake. And he gets in. And then
that's
he goes
retconning though. That's like somehow Palpatine returned. Like, that's almost that level of, you know what I mean? Like, that's almost that level of a retcon. In some way, they have to listen. The way they ended that movie was dreadful. It should not have been done. I think that the Toy Story movie is a good movie on paper, but a really bad Toy Story movie because of what they do to Woody's character. Obviously, they need him back.
How about this? We see Woody and Bo Peep. They're on top of the carousel. They climb down. They're having a great day. They share some popsicles and some cotton candy, and they go to bed that night. They say good night, Bo Peep. Good night, Woody. And he closes his eyes and he opens them, and he's back in Bonnie's room. And all of a sudden he says, "It was all a dream."
Oh, that's terrible.
Wouldn't that be great?
Just that's so bad. That's so bad. But like, seriously, they're going to have to do something pretty bad.
Because how does he get there? I mean,
it's next to impossible.
What makes us there?
I mean, he's agonized over this huge life-altering decision.
Mm-hmm. It has to be an email, right? Or a social media video that shows like, my friends are in danger. I have to get to them.
The concept I still love is that, like, we age Bonnie. Andy now has children. Bonnie gives the toys back to Andy, and Andy's kids need them, and that brings Woody back. That I would be down for. Though I am, let me be clear, against this wholeheartedly. in general. So while there are aspects of it that I'm like kind of talking myself back into, I still don't want it. So
Okay.
just because it's Toy Story 5, like what are we doing? I think Lightyear was supposed to be the next direction for this, where they do spin-offs and not sequels. It obviously sucked and was bad and didn't do well because they tried to make a way overcomplicated movie.
It made no sense.
They just got totally lost in the sauce there,
Yes.
and it's a bummer. But so here we are. Their hand was sort of forced here. They had to keep Toy Story alive, and they didn't have another good avenue to do it. But it still is like Toy Story 5 makes me kind of like, ugh.
Why is there number 5 on the back of it?
Well, yeah, why?
Mhm.
Okay. Other films announced by Pixar include Elio, which I laugh because it was supposed to come out last year, or this year.
I think it was supposed to come out in 2015. Like they've been talking about it forever.
I think for some reason I was thinking I think it was supposed to come out this year because I think they were advertising it during Wish, which was like Thanksgiving of last year. But then there were some creative differences, some issues. They replaced the directors, one of which they replaced with Domi Shi, who directed the Bow short and also Turning Red. So definitely like viewed as one of Pixar's sort of like rising stars there. Plot details are still pretty much the same, which is that a kid encounters aliens and ends up in a position of kind of being the ambassador for Earth because of how this goes down. So it's coming out summer 2025.
Yeah. Only thing I have to say about that is that Bow short freaks me out.
It's freaky.
I don't like it.
I understand it.
I understand it as well.
But yeah, it's when she eats him, it's pretty jarring.
Yes.
Like
the music drops and she just gobbles him up.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrifying.
It's like, yeah, I don't know. It's like watching Apocalypse Now. Like there's some really, there's some things that happen where you're just kind of like, it just really is unsettling.
My wife Aubrey is like, "Oh, but I get it." I was like, "I get it. I don't like it."
Yeah, I don't know that we all get it, but for the people who do get it, it doesn't help. I don't think it helps that she eats her son. That is the problem.
Oh.
Okay, moving on. The other original movie that they announced that was actually new is this movie called Hoppers, in which this movie is going to release in 2026. There was a brief like artist rendering of a girl like chasing a beaver. The plot synopsis is essentially that this girl who is obsessed with animals transfers her mind into a robot beaver so that she can learn about them firsthand. So yeah, Hoppers.
One of our original movies coming out.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like of the 3 original concepts, it's like Elio, and then there's this, and it's like that's the original idea. Like it could be great. I'm not going to say that it is or it isn't, but it's certainly an interesting concept.
Super strange, but
Very
we'll
strange.
see.
And then the other original thing, which so the 3 original that I was counting was Elio, Hoppers, and this one, Win or Lose, which is this series that again was like supposed to release. It was like announced in the Bob Chapek era of Disney. It was supposed to release before. It's a Disney Plus series. It's Pixar's first original series. It's about like a little league team. We didn't learn anything new.
Fun.
But it comes out this year. So December 6th. So look forward to that if you are into such things. Okay. Star Wars, no new projects announced from Star Wars, but we got some new details about Skeleton Crew, which this is the Jude Law led series that is being helmed by the Spider-Man guy whose name is escaping me.
John Chu.
No, John Watts.
John Watts.
John Watts. And the trailer. Did you watch the trailer?
No, but I saw just a thumbnail of Jude Law's perfect mug.
Well, it's the same image they've been showing for seemingly forever now. This is clearly them. Like this is the result of a really angry email from somebody at Disney, probably Bob Chapek or Bob Iger, being like here's what I'm envisioning: 3:45 a.m. All these creative guys at Lucasfilm, their phone starts buzzing, and it's like, Stranger Things is popular. Why don't we have Stranger Things for Star Wars? And then everybody like comes into work the next day and they're like, did you get that email from Bob last night? And they're like, yeah. And everybody's just like, okay. And they just like have to do it. That's what this is.
It's like, we've got Jude Law still from the Marvel movie.
Oh yeah, he's got one thing left on his contract. Let's just pencil him in.
That'll get people to watch this. Yeah.
Dude, 1,000,000%. No one can convince me that's not how it went down. I think that's how it went down.
There's no way that Jude Law signs on for a Star Wars project without having his arm twisted a little.
When it's like, yes, Star Wars Goonies is essentially what's going on here. I mean, there's just no way.
Where's Josh Brolin? Huh? Why doesn't he step into this? This is perfect time.
Exactly.
Come on.
Let's bring them all in. Yeah. So in the trailer for this, to me, like, there are parts of it that look fine, but there's this weird stuff where it just doesn't look like Star Wars at all. Like, and it's not supposed to be tied to the Skywalker stuff at all. So it is supposed to be different, but it looks like suburban America at times.
Does it look like Stranger Things?
Yes. It looks like Stranger Things, the Goonies, E.T. It looks like all the things. And I'm just like, that doesn't feel like Star Wars, though. It feels very strange.
Email achieved.
Yeah, whatever. The Mandalorian and Grogu, given a release date of May 22nd, 2026, there were a couple things shown. They showed like a sizzle reel, I guess, to the crowd. The highlights from that were that 2 returning characters, Babu Frick from Rise of Skywalker, will be appearing, because sure.
It's a weird fanfare for that guy.
Yeah, right. What a ride. I'm pro Babu Frick in general, but so I don't hate this, but it's also like, I don't know. And then Zeb from Rebels, which is, if you like Rebels, that's, I guess, good. All the Rebels people like seeing their little Rebels people in live action, I guess.
Yeah.
I watched Rebels. I think it's fine. I didn't freak out about Ahsoka when it was like, here's all the people from Rebels who are in live. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm not the mark for that. It just didn't move me. And then there's also there's some snow troopers involved. There appear to be like some sort of Hoth-like battle happening. So that's what we know. That's
exciting. I just don't want, and this is a movie, just a reminder, The Mandalorian.
It's a movie, yes. It's a theatrical release, yeah.
Yep. The only thing I don't want that stupid mechanic. I don't want her to show up because she is the worst actor.
Wrong. I'm on the opposite. I want all of it.
That's like if my great aunt was asked to be just like was on set, kind of like in a Han Solo kind of way, but she was terrible and not Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
And she got cast continuously in all of these multi-million dollar episodes. I want her not in this movie.
That's fair. I don't have time to talk more about Mandalorian and Grogu, but I'll just leave you with this parting thought. Is like, what do we want this? Like, what story even is there? They just kind of keep cutting off. Like, I saw a tweet that was like, here's everything that's happened in The Mandalorian. They revived IG-88, who died in first season, which was dumb. They sent Grogu off to Jedi training and then brought him back.
Dumb.
They like had Mando take off his helmet, but then decided that he's not going to do that anymore. Like, they just like, they do these things. They like take these big, bold, creative like story leaps where you're like, oh yeah, this could be something. And then they're like, no, we're not going to do that. So it's like I honestly didn't finish season 3 because of that. Like, there's just not any story. There's just nothing happening.
The only thing that this one will do, I think it has to integrate with the big Skywalker films. It's basically we already know that we've see Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker, right? He's the one who helps train Grogu. But where does it fit with the bigger timeline? With the sequels, right? With the Reys, like, is it going to interject right when she gets dropped on that planet and like ripped away from her parents, right? Like, how is it going to integrate? That's the only way that this one makes sense. This movie makes sense to be made a movie.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, and then we got Andor season 2. I don't feel like any new ground was broken there.
Gonna be great.
Yeah, let's just move on. Marvel Studios. So no new projects from Marvel Studios. This means the live action studios, but we did get new details on Captain America, Brave New World. There was new footage shown, more Harrison Ford Red Hulk. Looks better than it did in the trailer they're showing in theaters right now. I feel like they showed his face a little bit, and it doesn't look as like unfinished.
He looks very strong. Like,
yeah,
so strong.
Very, yeah. He looks very large and very strong. Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks very Harrison Ford.
Yes, he does.
Like, and I know that like that's kind of where we're at with Hulk things. Like, Mark Ruffalo Hulk looks like Mark Ruffalo.
He does.
But it just, I don't know. So that's not new information, but it was like, hello.
Like, that's Harrison Ford.
That's Harrison Ford. That's red Harrison Ford. I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't prepared for that mentally, apparently. So yeah, nothing really new there. Fantastic Four. Really, I was expecting some stuff here. I think they showed some like cast photos and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like really what happened at San Diego Comic-Con was the big stuff, which I feel like this is now 2 years in a row where they're like, we've announced all this at San Diego Comic-Con, but come back for D23 and then like did nothing. Right? Like
Yeah.
they showed like an Ironheart trailer to people, which isn't, I don't think they released it to the public. Like
Not
I didn't
yet.
see one. So like they showed a few things to people like Daredevil Born Again, whatever. Like they showed this stuff and knew Agatha all along things, but nothing was like new.
Right. And if you're going to do that, like if those things happen, well, then release it to the wide public or say,
I agree.
hey, guess what? You guys have to wait one more week and then we're going to drop this.
Especially since some of this stuff is not like long lead, like not
Yeah.
super far out. Like that Captain America movie comes out like first thing next year.
Agatha hits Disney Plus in like 2 months.
Yeah, this like October, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's weird that they just didn't release a whole lot. But so we didn't really break any new ground. Is there anything Marvel Studios related that you think is necessary to dig into?
No, I guess the only thing I'm excited about is that Daredevil Born Again is stepping away from the kind of disaster that they did to Daredevil and She-Hulk, and it seemingly seems like from the chatter from the people that were there that say hey, listen, this is gritty. This is the violence that you expect from Daredevil to tell the story in his way.
Yeah.
It's really showing that they're not holding any punches since the fight scenes in Daredevil are just out of this world. So I'm excited about that they're staying true to the Netflix series where we first fell in love with Matt Murdock and his crew.
Yeah, and we're getting the John Bernthal Punisher, and I
Mhm.
know John Bernthal shared some thoughts with the D23 crowd in one shape or form. They did reveal that White Tiger, the hero White Tiger, will be in the show. The real bummer about that is that the actor Kamar De Los Reyes, who people just identified from like seeing the leaked footage from or they didn't release a Daredevil trailer, did they? Or am I?
They did
I didn't watch
at least
it then.
clips, but not publicly.
Yeah, so people
events.
identified this guy. He sadly passed away of cancer after he recorded that. So after he filmed that. So that's obviously horrible.
That's not the first time that's happened in Marvel. There's been another thing like that's happened where it's like, hey, they filmed this entire series and then they sadly, tragically passed away.
Yeah.
So that's nuts.
Well, and there's like also the Chad Boseman thing,
of course,
which was horrible. So yeah, that's horribly sad. I don't know what that means for the future of that character. In the comics, like there's different versions of White Tiger, so I guess they could move on, but it's just sad and terrible.
Right. Immediately. Like, hey, we've got this great new series come out. By the
new
way,
character, and this guy tragically, horribly died.
You will be crushed. That's sad. That's super sad.
It's a bummer. But other than that, there really wasn't much on the Marvel Studios front. So if you came from Marvel, we'll do Marvel Animation because there was lots of new stuff on Marvel Animation. To buzz through, Marvel Zombies is confirmed to be TVMA.
Mm-hmm.
And the crowd goes, I don't know. How do people react to that? How do you react to that?
Whenever I hear zombies, I just think of like the Disney Channel Zombies series that's highly successful, and not even Marvel Zombies. Wonder if there'll be a crossover because they're like singing musical zombies.
Yeah, good. That'd be good.
Stupid.
I'm in favor of it because the comics, like I've read some Marvel Zombies comics, and I've read some Deceased. This is the DC version of Zombies.
Oh, that's clever. They're called Deceased.
Deceased. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty good.
Nice.
And those are very like, zombie violence. So I feel like it should be that. It's going to be a 4-part series, which is kind of like, okay. I hate that everything is short now.
Yes.
And it's like, if it has to be that short, then what are we doing? And like, what happened to like the Marvel, you remember the like werewolf at night?
The spotlights. Yeah.
Yeah. The Marvel spotlights.
Uh-huh.
What happened to that? Or Marvel, what do they call them? Special presentations.
Special presentations.
I liked that.
Yes.
Let's do that. Let's do that as zombies.
That'd be way better. And now they're not announced in any of this news.
No.
But they should be, because that was an excellent example of what they could do
Werewolf
with their
by Night.
storytelling.
That was Werewolf by Night was great. I really enjoyed that.
And the black and white version is available now as well,
which was also good. They've got this Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man series, which I know a lot of people have been looking forward to. It's an animated series. They've got this interesting dynamic where it's like Norman Osborn is like the older, I mean, it's Norman Osborn, and it's like a teacher-student sort of relationship type thing, kind of like what they set up in the first Spider-Man, like Sam Raimi Spider-Man, where like Harry is kind of an afterthought, but like the norm. And I don't know, that seems like a pretty interesting dynamic, almost like a Tony Stark to Tom Holland Spider-Man, only Norman Osborn is like clearly on the wrong path.
Right.
So that's cool.
Just like the Sam Raimi series with Tobey Maguire and Willem Dafoe, right? Where I almost said Peter Maguire, Tobey Maguire idolized Willem Dafoe. He's like, oh my goodness, I respect all of your work. I'm so glad that my best friend, that's your dad, blah, blah, blah. And he just like takes intel from him until Willem Dafoe realizes, oh, I want to kill this. I want to squash this spider,
right?
This Spider-Man, right? So I do love that. I'm not excited about Coleman Domingo. I think that man is a one-note actor.
Yeah.
Either something needs to unlock. I say this often. I want something mildly tragic to happen to him so he becomes a better actor.
You guys stop saying that.
I didn't identify if it should be death or
you
the
said
loss
mildly. I will give you that.
But something has to happen to change him in his life, to dive into the lower depths of his emotions. Kind of like how I love that Hugh Jackman, coming off of Deadpool and Wolverine, says he has a depth, a tank of frustration and anger that he goes to, even though he's like one of the nicest, quote unquote, the nicest men in Hollywood, right? So like something tragic has happened in Hugh Jackman's life. He's recently divorced, so that's just added to the tank, right? After like 30 years. So again, I want something mildly tragic to happen to him.
I do think Coleman Domingo is one of those things where it's like he did a really good job at one thing one time, and it was like, let's put him in everything because that's what Hollywood does.
Yeah.
And all the power to him. That's great. Get your money, get paid, do your thing. He's not like the world's worst actor, but he's just overhyped.
Like Timothée Chalamet. Every day I talk about
which just, it happens whether you like it or not. Like sometimes you just get overhyped, and he probably doesn't think he's overhyped, obviously. So it's whatever. It's great for him, but here we are. New series Eyes of Wakanda announced, which is going to be a bit more about the history of Wakanda as a secret nation. How that whole developed. That sounds really cool. Developed by Todd Harris, who's a really, like, he's an industry stalwart. He's been a storyboard artist on a ton of huge action movies and things like that. So that's pretty exciting. And they said that an Iron Fist will appear. I think they said it that way because they wanted to make sure we didn't think that it was that terrible Iron Fist from Netflix. They weren't like, Iron Fist is going to appear. They're like, no. An Iron Fist. So let's just be clear, like that terrible Netflix series is not being looped into the canon.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
That is the number one. Like, Marvel will fall on its sword on some things. It will never go back to how terrible that was.
That was real bad.
That's the one thing they identify as their biggest mistake.
They're like, burn that. That is, yeah. That was the low point.
Like, obviously, there are things that are happening in different streaming things where they're going back and they're censoring, they're rewriting things, they're re-editing things. I'd be fine if they deleted this from the earth.
I'm anti like going back and changing things, but I do think I think we could all agree that needs to have not happened.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good for everybody. What If season 3, whatever. I don't know. They should name the show whatever, because like instead of What If. I'm so negative today. What is wrong with me? I lost interest in this series after season 1 when they had that huge blunder where they just like eliminated an episode that fed into the the finale story, and then we showed up in the finale and we're like, who's that? What's going on here? Right. It's just a wild thing to occur.
Yeah, nuts. You have this entire gang of all these mixed up powers and people, and you're like, we didn't talk about these guys.
You're like, what's this King Thanos thing or whatever? It was like the Gamora storyline, right? Yeah. It was like, what is this? I don't know. So yeah, I kind of lost interest. There's some new stuff going on there. This will be the final season, which I was like, that was the piece of news where I was like, let's good.
Good.
It should be good. What If should be cool and fun and enjoyable. And I didn't watch season 2 because, again, like season 1 just wasn't great. So for me, it just didn't hold my interest, and I just don't come back to things like that. Like if you lose me in season 1, I'm lost. I'm out.
If you guys really want to go for a deep cut, you can go back into the archives of our videos and you can see week to week episodes where we reviewed every What If episode. Wow.
All of our detailed thoughts on every episode of What If. Man, we were in it. We were in there, and I'm glad that we're not anymore.
And we'll play one right now
to add to this super long episode. And then finally, X-Men 97 season 2. I'm terrible, and I still haven't watched X-Men 97 season 1, despite everybody being like it's absolutely fantastic. My toxic trait is that whenever, among many, I should say, whenever something comes out, that's
hold on,
like,
I was saying to my toxic trait, not among many.
Yeah, whatever. Whenever something comes out that's a build on something, I have to go back and rewatch the whole thing, and I haven't brought myself to rewatch all of the which is stupid. It's not necessary, but it's just the way that I am, and so that's the reason I haven't watched it yet.
Cameron will watch X-Men 97 in 2045 when he has time to catch up to the original series.
Yeah, after I finished rewatching all the other things I'm rewatching to get ready for the other things that came out that were sequels to those things.
Then you'll be watching, and then by that time it'll say X-Men 2024.
X-Men 2024. I'm like, wait a second. Yeah. Basically, I don't know. There's new characters coming. Which is great.
Yes.
There's new suits coming, which are like the Grant Morrison era suits. That looks pretty cool. Wolverine is happening.
He's alive. Yep.
He's alive and well. Which,
duh.
Yeah, of course. He's Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, good. I think good. Yeah.
All good stuff.
X-Men 97. Good. 2 thumbs up from us. We're ready. We're good. That's it. But I think that's everything we have to cover with one major exception that I left to the end on purpose to surprise you. And I left it out of our notes.
Is it Zootopia 4? Has it been announced as well? Oh, okay.
No,
Gotcha.
Kirk.
Go ahead.
It's Freaky Friday 2, which I knew you'd want to talk about. We're like way over time.
It's Freaky Friday.
The title, I don't think they released. I honestly don't know. I did not prepare for Freaky Friday specifically. I stopped reading things about Freaky Friday once I saw the title was Freakier Friday. That's the title of the movie. Did you see anything else about Freaky Friday? I think that's all we know. That's new.
Oh no, I think that's really it.
And here's why I have a problem with that title. Not the reason that most people have a problem with it, which is that it's terrible. My problem is that because of the double F, Freaky Friday, I kind of got my hopes up that we'd be going down like a Fast and Furious naming convention path. And I thought there was an outside chance that this thing would be called Too Freaky, Too Friday.
Tokyo Drift.
I think that's probably the reason they didn't go with that naming convention, because then there's the glaring, like when you get to the third movie, you have to, I mean, you're looking at Freaky Friday, Tokyo Drift, and you just obviously can't do that. But they could go back to the first movie, which was called The Fast and the Furious, and then call it The Freaky and the Friday.
That's right.
Use that one, and then go back.
The Freaky 5 when they hit the fifth one.
Freaky 5.
Freaky X.
Freaky, yeah. Freaky 9, the Freaky Saga. F9, the Freaky Saga.
Yes.
See, this is what I was hoping for, but we didn't get that. So,
and then you have a spin-off series and you just name it whatever characters those are that take care of, right?
You have a whole spin-off series on the boyfriend, the
Chad Michael Murray.
You have a whole Chad Michael Murray. It's like called Jake and something or whatever.
Jake and Paul, but
I don't know.
It's actually, we're casting Jake and Paul Logan to come in here for that.
Yes, that'd be good. Are you talking about Logan Paul?
That's
Jake
what I'm talking about. Yeah,
he's a Paul Logan.
Paul Logan, ladies and gentlemen.
Jake Logan and Paul Logan. Okay, we've reached like Stockholm syndrome, giddy area of the show, so we're gonna just end on a high note.
It's my favorite.
There, that's D23. That was so much. I can't even right now. If we missed anything, which we almost certainly did, or we didn't talk about the things that you wanted us to talk about, let us know in the comments. If you disagree and you think Stitch is awesome, which I know you guys are out there, don't hide.
We know.
Let your freak flag fly, Stitch fans, and let us know in the comments. Say these guys are bozos. How dare they disrespect Stitch? Whatever. But otherwise, thank you so much for being here. Reminder, you can find everything related to our podcast, all of our blogs, shorts, whatever, videos, everything that's ever existed for this podcast on popcorn4breakfast.com. We are on all of the social media sites, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, etc. And we want to give a special thanks to our executive producer, Ryan, and our title sponsor, St. Louis Area Smoothie Kings. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you next time.
Talk to you then.